Hey everyone! So today is going to be a very exciting video because it's my first book review. So this is something that I want to do at least once a month. I read a lot of self-help books, books on mental health, and I would love to film reviews on these books. I think it's always nice to get someone's personal opinion on a book before going out and getting it yourself. The first book that I'm going to review is The Defining Decade by Meg Jay. And the subtitle for this is Why Your 20s Matter and How to Make the Most of Them Now. So of course I was gravitated to this book because I saw the the subtitle and I was like, yep, need that now. When I first read it, I was either 22 or 23, and I was almost done with college, and it was a point in my life where I just wasn't sure exactly what the next step was. And so reading this book was really, really, really helpful in understanding that the 20s are a very critical time in a person's life and that they shouldn't be wasted. The author, Meg Jay, is actually a clinical psychologist, and so she counsels a lot of 20-year-olds and has learned a lot through research and her own clients as to what the 20-year-old struggles with, what plagues 20-year-olds in work, relationships, and mental health. If you're 20, you know, from 20 to 29, and you're trying to figure out what your next step should be, or you feel stuck, or you don't know exactly where you're going in life, this is the book for you. Like, I'm not even kidding, guys. She really does a good job in breaking down a lot of issues that a 20-year-old can face in their life and how to go about tackling those issues. So the first time I read this book, I was truly shocked by how I saw myself in the variety of clients that Meg Jay has had. Every single client story that she shared, I was able to see a bit of myself in that person. And that was really cool for me because, you know, we all have those moments where we feel like we're the only one going through something. It's just nice to know that there are people out there who have the same doubts and insecurities as I do about being in their 20s, and, you know, feels this immense amount of pressure and anxiety. So thus far in my 5 years into being in my 20s, I've had a lot of difficulty just navigating my 20s and being sure about the steps that I'm taking. You know, oftentimes I feel that I could be doing more, that I should have a different job, that I should be living somewhere else, that I should have accomplished X, X, and X by my age. And having that immense amount of pressure on yourself can be dangerous. Now, it's not bad to be motivated. It's not bad to want to be better and do better and grow. But if it's at the expense of, you know, your mental health, then it can be extremely dangerous. And so Meg really touches upon how you can decrease that amount of anxiety and stress by just focusing on other things, you know, the things that you are good at, and following your passions and being okay with the unknown, but still moving forward within that unknown. So those are just a few of the things generally that I learned from this book. And now I'm going to go in and kind of break down section by section and what my takeaways are. So the first section is on work. And so in this section, she discusses a lot of client stories, you know, of 20-year-olds who were in jobs that they were very, you know, overqualified for, and staying in that job due to fear of trying something that is more challenging and not knowing exactly where to go, and just feeling overall just stuck. Something that Meg touched upon in the work section is the strength of weak ties. I think that we've all heard of, you know, strong ties, that, you know, that's your close family and friend unit, the people that you're seeing the most, the people that know you the best, the people that, you know, tend to have a lot of similarities with you. Those are your strong ties. Now, your weak ties are acquaintances, people that you meet, you know, and see maybe once every 3 months. You're not close with, but you know about it. Now, although You're not spending a lot of time with these individuals. These are the individuals who are going to connect you to that next job opening, who are going to reach out to you about an opportunity that they think that you might be good for, and who are going to kind of expand your horizons. Because when you stick with your close group of friends, you're not growing. You know, your close group of friends are interested in the same things as you are, and so you're not growing, you're not changing, you're not evolving. You're remaining stagnant in your interests, in your activities. When you reach out and you network with people who are different than you, that they're going to bring different perspectives into your life. They're going to get you familiar with different things that maybe you wouldn't have learned about in your small social group. So she talks heavily about the importance of weak ties, and I love that part of the book. So one quote that I really, really like is, "The more terrifying uncertainty is wanting something but not knowing how to get it. It is working towards something even though there is no sure thing. When we make choices, we open ourselves up to hard work and failure and heartbreak." So sometimes it feels easier not to know, not to choose, and not to do, but it isn't. It's very important to reflect and, you know, figure out what maybe those things are from the past that we connected with and could potentially move into our adult life, and what passions, you know, you might already have that you could then translate into your work. Now let's talk about love. So she has an entire section on love, and there are chapters on dating down, there are chapters on marriage and living together pre-marriage. There are chapters on staying in relationships with people that maybe are not really well suited for you, but you stay there just because it's convenient and you don't want to be alone. So she touches on a lot of different issues that are relevant even today, especially in the age of online dating and dating apps. Our 20s are a time to explore, figure yourself out, learn who you are, learn what you like, learn what you don't like. All of those things are very important. But it is also a time to make important decisions in regards to love, the kind of person you feel is good for you. And so something that really struck me were the clients that she talked about that were in their 30s, like mid to late 30s, who had just kind of experimented in their 20s and not taken love seriously. She talks about those clients and mentions that the majority of them struggle in their 30s, because once they get out of their 20s and hit 30 and realize, like, oh wait, I wasted all of this time on the same person, or oh wait, I was bouncing from this person to the next without putting much thought into it, or oh wait, I never took time out for myself to learn who I am and to learn what I really want. That really hit me hard, because, you know, when you're in your 20s, you think that you have an infinite amount of time. It really feels like a weird, strange, like endless period where you can do anything without much consequence, but that's not the case. If you decide to stay in something out of convenience instead of evaluating a relationship and realizing that maybe you and that person are not compatible and that you should move forward, get out of it and find something else that maybe is a bit more suited for you. You have to really evaluate who you bring into your life and the purpose for that, and whether or not it is going to be a fruitful, positive experience, or something that's only going to put you further back, you know, in regards to marriage and family planning, if that's something that you want, of course, because of, you know, there are people who don't want that. So, you know, this isn't, I'm not saying that that's always the end goal, but for me personally, it is the end goal. And so I really enjoyed reading this chapter and understanding that I do need to take that very seriously, that my 20s should not be wasted, you know, when it comes to dating. Very last section is actually on the brain and the body. And in this section, Meg talks a lot about how the frontal lobe is actually still developing when you're in your 20s. It's more difficult for a 20-year-old to think more long-term about decisions when they're making them than it is for a 30-year-old when that frontal lobe has already been developed. So instead of our forward-thinking frontal lobe being kind of at the forefront of our decisions, we actually go more with our emotions. We're more pleasure seeking and emotionally driven in our 20s than we are in our 30s. And so that kind of explains some of the decisions that 20-year-olds make, some of those rash decisions that are based purely off of what they're feeling and less off what logically would be the best step moving forward. And one point that she makes that I think is very interesting is that forward thinking, that development doesn't come necessarily with the development of the frontal lobe, but more with practice and experience. So although it's still developing when you're in your 20s, you should give yourself more experiences where you are having to make decisions and you successfully make the right ones. Dr. J also talks a lot about learning how to calm yourself down in stressful situations. I think, when you're just reaching adulthood, we tend to kind of rely on other people to help us out when we're in a very stressful situation. So whether that is your mom or your best friend, whenever you're dealing with a lot of stress at work or in a relationship, you immediately call that person to try and help process what you're feeling and in aims of helping you, get to a better place emotionally. What Dr. J suggests is that you try and process those feelings on your own to learn how to calm yourself down during stressful moments. The more positive experiences that you have doing that, the better that you will get at doing it. And the more confident that you will be in trusting your own ability. So that's something that I found interesting. I am that person who tries and reaches out to other people when I'm dealing with stress. I'll call my best friend and I'll vent and I'll let them know what I'm feeling to try and help me kind of process what is going on in my life, instead of working with myself and figuring out how best to get myself to a more stable level emotionally. There may be a moment where you aren't able to call your mom, or you aren't able to call your best friend or your dad or whoever that person is for you, and you will have to rely on yourself. And so it's good to kind of build up on those skills now when you're in your 20s. Dr. J talks heavily about jumping fully into adulthood and having a positive perspective while in adulthood. It's very important to remain positive and to dive fully in and to, try things and to figure out who you are, and to not put so much stress and pressure on yourself during this time. Even though you should be goal setting, even though you should be, aiming for something and working hard for something every single day, trying to grow and learn something new, all those things are important. You shouldn't put an immense amount of pressure on yourself to get something that you want now and in this very moment. Success comes with time, success comes with practice, success comes with experience. Use this time wisely so that you don't end up looking back and feeling like the entire decade was a waste. That is my biggest fear, is waking up at 35 and feeling like I should have done more in the last 15 years. That honestly is like a true fear of mine, and it's something that I'm working hard on trying to reduce on a daily basis. And the only way to reduce that fear is to put action towards things that I'm interested in, to try and reach out and find opportunities that excite me, and to just go for what I believe is good for me. So that's really all you can do. Don't stress out. Everything is going to be fine. Work every day. Learn something new every day. Go for your dreams. Learn how to be alone. Don't date someone just because you're lonely, but because you truly want to date that person and feel connected to them and compatible and all those things. And just try and do your best in this time, because you only live in your 20s once, and you might as well try and take full advantage of it, because the foundation that you set for your 20s can truly make the difference between being in your 30s and thriving, or being in your 30s and starting over. So I'm here for a thriving 30s, and I hope that you all are as well. If I didn't mention already, go and get this book. It is amazing, and I think it definitely is going to make some sort of an impact on your life. So definitely go and check it out. Thanks, y'all.